ASX or crypto? It's the question every Aussie beginner asks me. Your mate's up 200% on Bitcoin. Your dad says stick to the share market. Your cousin lost everything on some random altcoin in 2022. So who's actually right? Today I'm breaking down both options properly, no hype, no fear, so you can make a smart decision based on facts. And look, I'm not here to tell you one is good and one is evil. Both have a place. But for a beginner with limited money, the answer matters a lot. Let's get into it. Before we compare them, real quick, what actually are these two things? Because I find a lot of people use the words without really knowing what they're buying. The ASX, Australian Securities Exchange, is the Australian share market. When you buy shares on the ASX, you're buying a small ownership stake in a real Australian company. Companies like BHP, Commonwealth Bank, CSL, Woolworths. These businesses have employees, buildings, revenue, and profits. Your shares grow in value as the business grows. Crypto, short for cryptocurrency, is a digital asset that exists on a blockchain. Bitcoin is the most well-known. Unlike a company share, Bitcoin isn't backed by a business or physical asset. Its value is driven by supply, demand, and sentiment. There are only 21 million Bitcoin that will ever exist. That scarcity is a big part of its value argument. So in simple terms, ASX shares are ownership of real businesses. Crypto is a digital asset whose value is based on what people believe it's worth. Both can make you money, both can lose you money. Now let's compare them across 5 key areas. Let's talk risk first. ASX shares, especially ETFs like VAS or VGS, are relatively stable long-term. Markets go up and down, but over 10 to 20 years, the ASX has consistently delivered around 9 to 10% annually. Crypto, on the other hand, is a completely different beast. Bitcoin dropped 75% from its peak in 2022. It recovered and hit new highs in 2024. But if you needed that money during the dip, you were in serious trouble. Returns, and here's where crypto gets exciting and dangerous at the same time. If you'd put $1,000 into Bitcoin in 2019, you'd have had over $10,000 by 2024. That's insane. But if you put that same $1,000 in at the peak of November 2021 and sold in June 2022, you'd have been down over 70%. Timing matters enormously with crypto in a way it just doesn't with long-term ASX investing. Tax. This one is super important for Aussies and most people don't know this. The ATO treats crypto exactly like shares. Every time you sell, swap, or even trade one crypto for another, that's a taxable event. Even swapping Bitcoin for Ethereum counts. You need to track every single transaction. Tools like Coinly or a coin tracker are basically essential if you're trading crypto in Australia. Dividends are a big one that people miss. Many ASX shares, especially the big banks and miners, pay out dividends. That's cash paid to you just for holding the shares. BHP, Commonwealth Bank, Telstra, all pay regular dividends. Crypto pays you nothing to hold it. Your only return is if the price goes up. Here's some stuff specific to Australia that doesn't come up in most YouTube videos about this topic because most of them are made for American audiences. First, franking credits. This is a uniquely Australian thing. When Australian companies pay dividends, they've already paid company tax on those profits. So when you receive a dividend, you also get a franking credit that offsets your personal tax bill. For Aussie investors in ASX shares, this is a serious bonus that effectively boosts your real return. Crypto has nothing equivalent. Second, regulation. The ASX is regulated by ASIC, one of the toughest financial regulators in the world. If a company commits fraud, there are legal consequences. If a crypto exchange collapses, like FTX did globally in 2022, You could lose everything with very limited legal recourse. Australia is working on crypto regulation, but as of 2026, it's still catching up. Third, Australian crypto exchanges. If you do go into crypto, use an Australian regulated exchange. CoinSpot and SwiftX are the most popular. Independent Reserve is solid for more serious investors. Avoid putting large amounts on overseas exchanges with no Australian presence. And always use a hardware wallet if you're holding serious amounts. Never leave large crypto holdings on an exchange. Okay, so here's my honest take. And remember, this is not financial advice, just my personal perspective as someone who invests in both. If you're a complete beginner with limited capital, say under $5,000, I'd say start with ASX ETFs, VAS and VGS. Set up automatic monthly investments. Build that foundation first. The returns are reliable, the tax is simple, and you're not going to wake up one morning to find your investment down 40% overnight. Once you've got a solid base built, maybe your ETF portfolio is sitting at 10 or 15,000, then consider allocating a small percentage. I'd say no more than 10 to 15% of your total portfolio into crypto. Stick to Bitcoin and Ethereum as a beginner. They have the longest track records and the most liquidity. The worst thing you can do is put your entire savings into crypto because your mate told you about a coin that's going to moon. That story has ended badly for thousands of Australians. Crypto can be a powerful part of a diversified portfolio, but it should never be your whole strategy as a beginner. Let's wrap it up. ASX, lower risk, regulated, dividends, reliable long-term returns. Great for building your foundation. Crypto, higher risk, higher potential reward. Volatile, no dividends, complex tax, but a legitimate asset class when used as a small part of a broader strategy. For beginners in Australia in 2026, my recommendation is ASX ETFs first, crypto later if at all. Build smart, be patient, don't let the hype rush you into decisions your future self will regret. Smash that like button if this helped you understand the difference a bit better. Subscribe for more Aussie finance content every week. I'm posting new videos every Saturday. And drop a comment below. Are you team ASX, team crypto, or both? I genuinely want to know. Cheers, legends.